Story time about how my husband keeps borrowing money from me and now wants access to my bank accounts. What should I do? My husband and I have been married for 6 years. When we first got married, we were really young, so we were living with our parents. We didn't actually move out from my parents' house up until 2 years ago. In fact, I don't think we're actually adults yet. We both still act like we're teenagers. I'm 24 and he's 25. I recently got myself a really good job. He, on the other hand, has never had a really good job. He does a lot of odd jobs here and there, a lot of catering. He also models because he's extremely good looking. So now that I got myself a job, I wanted to get my own apartment. But of course, I have to include my husband because we're married. He actually ended up getting an okay job. We decided to split the rent and everything was going fine. But then he got laid off and this is when things started going bad. He started asking me for money because he wasn't getting paid anymore. Every now and then he would ask me for like $10 or he would ask me for my debit card. At first, it was just small purchases like going to the supermarket or going to Starbucks. So I gave him my card. One day I'm checking my bank account and I realized that he bought himself a $600 watch. You'll never guess what he said when I confronted him. When I confronted him about buying a $600 watch with my money, he told me that he has every single right to use my money as much as I do. And even though I'm the one earning the money, he is my husband so he can do whatever he wants with it. I got so angry I picked up one of my crystals and threw it right at his head. Luckily it missed him, but it did scratch his ear. He went berserk and accused me of trying to kill him. He ran over to the ER with a scratch on his ear. Went straight to my parents' house and I told them what was happening. Obviously, my parents agree with me that he should not be spending $600 of my money on a stupid watch. And they told me to take away any access he had to my money. So I took away my debit card and my credit card from him. We both ended up apologizing to each other, so for a few months it was okay. He had a few jobs, so he had some spending money for himself. But then he got fired again. That's when he asked me politely to add him to my bank account so that he could get his own debit card from my account. To be honest, at first I thought it was okay. But I didn't say yes or no. I called my parents and they told me absolutely not. And when I told my husband, he threatened to divorce me. He says that I'm neglecting his needs. That's when he threatened to divorce me because I wouldn't give him access to my checking account. He said that I was neglecting him. That's when he told me that if the tables were turned, he would be expected to give me money. And you know what? Totally true. At the same time, I can't allow him to just buy $600 watches. He then made a promise to me that he would only use the money for necessities. So for example, paying bills or anything like that. Although we already have our bills on auto pay, so I'm not sure how that would work. So I took him to the bank and I added him to my account. I know you all must think I'm so stupid right now. And you know what? I am. 2 days later after he got his debit card, I checked his bank account and he had signed up to 3 different OnlyFans accounts. That's a total of $50 a month coming out of my paycheck plus all the things that he buys on the website. I confronted him again and he told me that it was just for fun. And that because I'm at work and he's home alone, he needs something to entertain himself with. Then he told me that if he didn't have the OnlyFans accounts, he would probably end up just cheating on me. And then he asked me, what do you prefer, me watching stuff online or me actually going out and finding women? This is where I need your help. I see his point, but I'm not sure if this is like manipulation or something. He really seems so genuine and he's always doing my laundry, cooking, and cleaning up for me. Even rubs my feet when I get home from work. And I haven't told my parents about this. I think they'll hit the roof. Should I let him have access to OnlyFans and use my money? Or should I put a stop to it and risk him cheating? What should I do?
Story time about how my grandma almost got me grounded. So a little background information, I was 14 and in 8th grade. And there was this boy that I really liked who lived like 10 minutes away from me. So the one night he asked me if I wanted to hang out. And my mom was strict about me not hanging out with people after 7 o'clock at night. Especially a boy. I wasn't even allowed to hang out with boys. And my grandma, my mom, and my brother and I all lived together. And we all had our own rooms. Mine was on the first floor of the house, so I snuck out the window and I went and hung out with him. So I snuck out at around 3 and came back at around 4 a.m. And my grandma comes into my room to wake me up for school. And I guess that I had been laying on my side and my hair was like pulled up. Because literally all I remember waking up to is her smacking me up out of my sleep and screaming at me because there was a hickey on my neck. She's like, I'm telling your mom whenever she gets home, your window's gonna be screwed shut. And I keep telling her it's not a hickey, so she calls my brother over. And he's like, yeah, that's definitely a hickey because he likes to kiss her ass. She's like, I'm telling your mom, and I keep telling her that it's not a hickey. And thankfully, my mom already went to work. She had work at 6 a.m. So I get on the bus, I go to school, and I'm talking to my friend and telling her about how I'm literally going to be crucified whenever I get home. And she told me about how her older sister was in like the same situation that I'm in now. So she texted her older sister asking what she did because she never got caught. And I was like, okay, well, if she used makeup, my mom's going to find out because she's not dumb. Well, apparently her older sister burnt herself with a curling iron. Yes, literally burnt herself, but she ended up getting away with it. So fast forward, I get home at around 3 o'clock and I sneak in through the back door so that way my grandma won't see that I came in the house because she literally would have made me sit in the living room until my mom got home. So I go upstairs and I burn myself with a curling iron, which is not fun. But I snuck in through the back door so that way my grandma wouldn't see me because if she saw me, she would have made me wait in the living room with her until my mom got home. So, burnt myself with a curling iron and my mom gets home. And since I'm on the first floor, I can literally hear my grandma talking to my mom and my brother, of course. My grandma's like, yeah, she has hickeys all over her neck, which is literally an exaggeration because there was one small one. So my mom calls me out to the living room. I go out and she's like, all right, show it to me. And I'm like, show you what? She's like, don't play stupid. Your grandma already told me the whole situation. And I was like, Mom, I literally burnt myself with a curling iron. And my grandma's like screaming and freaking out because I'm lying. She's like, you better tell your mother the truth right now. Da 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 da. So I show the burn to my mom. She looks at my grandma and she's like, so you're gonna tell me that's not a burn on her neck? And she was like, that's not how it looked this morning, blah, blah, blah. So I got away with it, but now my grandma literally stalks me to see if I'm doing anything wrong so she can tell my mom.
I'm not the type of person to be mixed up and bring things to TikTok or expose people. But this one I'm going to bring to TikTok because I'm sick and tired of Black-owned businesses in the service industry, whether you're a nail tech, a lash tech, a freaking hairstylist. I'm sick and tired of your unprofessionalism. And in this case, I almost missed my friend's wedding because of it. So let's get into story time because I'm sick and freaking tired. Gone are the days. So, if you don't know, I'm from Edmonton, Alberta, but I moved here from Toronto, and my friends were getting married in Toronto. So, because I'm not familiar with the hairstylist down here, I'm like, yo, when I fly up, I'll get my hair done in Toronto for the wedding. The wedding is the 8th. I booked my appointment for the 7th. My flight was supposed to land at 12, and as a client, I made sure I booked my appointment at 4, so I'm not late, okay? When I arrive and I, take my phone off of airplane mode, this is the message I get from the hairstylist. So she says, sorry for the inconvenience, short form. Basically, she had COVID. She got tested. She doesn't know what she can do about it. That's the message. You can pause, okay? So me as a client, you have COVID. I'm not going to argue. I literally said, thanks for notifying me. Where would the refund be issued? Called it a day. My grandma's funeral was earlier last month, and my cousin, had the same hairstyle that I wanted. So I messaged her and I was like, hey, who did your hair? So I said, who did your hair? Because my hairstylist just canceled, right? She said, say, hey, cuz I went to blank, which happened to be the same girl. I went to blank, but I'm gonna be honest, she can be unprofessional. Her work is good, but she canceled a lot. I said, bro, this is the same shorty who canceled on me literally the day of, let's be honest. Then she went to say she canceled on me bare times. These are the excuses. I was like, yo, this is the excuse that she used this time was COVID. And, she was like, she's lying, right? That's what we said from jump. No proof, no nothing, whatever. I let it go. Not going to cause mix up. I'm just not that type of person. So thank God I had a friend who was able to do my hair. But because of it was last minute, I ended up being late and missing the ceremony for the wedding. I was there for the reception, but I missed the ceremony because I need my hair done. And forever, who says, oh, why didn't you just leave your hair the way it was? I'm going to show you what my hair looked like. It looked like this. Why? Because she told me that I should come with my hair washed and blow dried. And that's what I did. So no, I couldn't go like this to the wedding. I get a phone call the next morning and being like, the girl didn't have COVID because she's posted up at her friend's baby shower. Baby shower. And those baby showers where you have the photo and the timestamp. Brave and bold with the timestamp. The GTA is so small. You're going to tell me that you don't think that your clients are going to see that 1 minute you have COVID and the next day you're posted up with a baby at a baby shower? Oh, she's posted up at the baby shower. So now I'm pissed, right? Because I'm like, why did you have to lie? And if you've seen part 1, you see the lie was so elaborate. The lie was so elaborate. It's like, why? So then I send her this, right? I'm like, yo, I'm made aware that you didn't have COVID and you were at a baby shower. Basically handle your clients with integrity. Don't have availability on your booking website and you're not available. Let's be for real. You can pause and read. And my cousin also sent her a message as well, being like, yo, I can't even refer you to people because this is how you conduct yourself, right? Why does Shorty not respond? But then this is what she posts on her Instagram, we're beefing. This is what she posts. People, people be weird. Miss me with the BS. People who lack self-awareness to me is they're actually scary. Like, I'm afraid. You know that what you did was wrong, or even if it was like a misunderstanding, you know that it looks bad. As a business owner, you want to say that people are weird, like you're making it like a personal beef, like I have something against you. No, I don't. I saw your stuff. It looked amazing. When you even told me you had COVID, I'm not mad. I literally said, thanks for notifying me. It's the lying that I can't take, and the boldness of you taking photos the next day with timestamp. Like, you're bold, knowing that the GTA is small. The crazy thing about this is that I didn't get a response, but she messaged my sister-in-law, who has nothing to do with this story, messages her and explaining to her what the issue was, and basically saying that, oh, it was a false positive, and of course I'm going to go to my friend's baby shower, explaining it to my sister-in-law, who has nothing to do with this situation. So now you're dragging other people in it, instead of conducting yourself professionally and being like, hey, I understand how it looks, but wanting to let you know that it was a false positive, so on and so forth. It goes on talking about, I don't even know why I need to explain myself, and I'm not with all this drama. When a customer has a complaint, it's not drama, sweetheart. It's not drama. It's maybe you should look within yourself and really see, like, okay, did I do this customer wrong? Okay, how do I handle it? Simple. She messages my sister-in-law and says, oh, can you let them know that I will no longer be taking them as clients? Why the hell would I want to come to you when I know that you don't even show up for your appointment? When I know that you cancel and flop? Why would I ever feel comfortable booking something with you and being there so I can have anxiety and be like, is she gonna make her appointment? Why would I do that? It's just annoying because it's a black business, and a woman at that, where it's like, this is why we can't reach levels that we should be able to reach. Her work is good. If she just had that professionalism, bro, I could see that she will go far. You can't do business and not be humble, not have self-awareness, and not be professional. It doesn't work.
Am I wrong for calling the cops on a guy who took my keys because I had been drinking? A few months ago, I moved to a new town and met a new group of people through playing sports. They immediately were very friendly with me and started inviting me to a number of different things, like playing on their sports team as well as parties and game nights. Soon, I realized they were trying to set me up with their friend, Mitch. They were constantly engineering situations where I would have to play next to or sit next to Mitch, and constantly talking up how awesome Mitch was. There were situations where multiple people would check in to see if I was coming to something, which turned out to be on behalf of Mitch. I find absolutely nothing attractive about Mitch. In fact, I find him repulsive and annoying in both looks and personality equally. These people all love Mitch, so they are trying to help him. At least that's what they think is helping him. I wasn't sure what to do because I enjoyed being invited to those things, but I was sick of being constantly pushed towards disgusting and crass Mitch. But it was all plausibly denied, which put me into the position of not being able to directly address it. If Mitch had just asked me out, I could have just said no and put an end to it. But when you're just constantly seated next to someone, you can't freak out about that without seeming like an overreacting psycho. I was invited to a beer festival by married couple Brian and Emma, so I went with them and a few other people tagged along, of course including Mitch. We drank all day and I basically avoided Mitch. However, he kept trying to talk to me and I was just so over it that I stopped being neutral / just interestedly polite and just became palpably rude and annoyed. Every time he would strike up another conversation with me, I would start watching a video on my phone. He said, "What's up with this? I'm starting to feel like you don't like me." And I replied, "Oh," because I just wanted him to go away, not create a scene and drama. Eventually, it was all done and we went back to Brian and Emma's house where I had parked my car. At that point, all the beer had processed through my body and I was sober. I was getting ready to leave and went to use the bathroom. When I came out, Mitch had my keys. He said he would not give me my keys back because I had been drinking all day and wasn't fit to drive. Brian and Emma said everyone was welcome to crash there and sleep over. I said I was going home and give me my keys. Mitch refused. I said I would effing walk several miles home, but my house key was on my keychain, so I would not be able to get into my house, so give me my fucking keys. Mitch refused again. At that point, I took my phone, went outside, and called the cops. Everyone was shocked when the cops showed up. I told them the situation and stated my intention to drive home. They breathalyzed me and I passed. They forced Mitch to hand over the keys. I went home. Now I am bombarded with texts about how much of a psycho I am. So, am I the asshole?
My lecturer hired me as an unclothed maid and is uncomfortable now, but I need him to get over it. I'm in my early 20s and he is at least mid-30s. I work for a cleaning service that offers nude or lingerie-clad maid service. There is no sex or touching, and if boundaries get crossed then the client is struck from the client list. The client can ask for a type, e.g. hair color, race, weight, age, gender, but they cannot pick a specific maid. Their maid is assigned by the company. Both client and maid have the option of using a fake name, and pictures of either party are not provided. Any institutions the clients and maids are linked to, e.g. school or work, are also noted so something exactly like this doesn't happen. All of this is done for confidentiality. Clients can request after the first session that the same maid comes back, but that's it. I'm explaining this to show that it is impossible for him to have requested me or known it was me beforehand. I got a message from the company saying a nearby and anonymous client had requested a lingerie-clad maid and I was his type. I went in jeans and a t-shirt with the lingerie underneath so he didn't see anything, knocked on the door, and my lecturer opened it. I realized what had happened and said that the agency typically filters these things out. Clearly there was an error, and I can stay and be professional or I can get him another maid, but whichever he chooses, we should both just forget this. He asked for another maid, so I called the office, explained, and left. The office says due to human error no one clocked that we are linked with the same school. I had to go into school a few days ago along with some classmates and we ran into him. He was awkward, uncomfortable, wouldn't look me in the eye, and refused to even directly address me. We ran into him again later that day and it was the same, if not worse that time. We also had some classes at the end of last academic year after the mix-up where I ended up at his place, and I was similarly ignored, though I attributed this at the time to the online format of the classes. This would just be one of those things, except I have classes with him all next year as well as private meetings with him to discuss my studies. These have to be done with him, are compulsory, and can affect my grade. While I know that I can act professionally, I am concerned that he cannot, as it has been several months and he is still not past it. I am putting a lot of time and money into this, and if this is indicative of how he will act for the remainder of it, I feel I will not get what I paid for and that my grade will suffer. I do not know how best to progress. I cannot afford to let my grade come to harm, but talking to him might make things even worse. Update: he reported me. I booked a meeting with him during office hours so I could clear the air, as was suggested on my last post, and then followed it up with an email that simply said that as school is starting up again in its final year I'd like a chance to meet with him to talk about my dissertation and make sure he approved of the topic before I launched into it, something that is completely standard and everyone else is doing, but was somehow enough to panic him. The maid service I work for also offers completely clothed maids, so from what I can gather he's gone to the uni saying he paid for a fully clothed maid and only went through this service because of their extensive vetting, but when I showed up I offered to do it naked in exchange for extra help on my dissertation. He said no. Obviously this is and I got the recording of the phone call I had with work and gave it to the uni, which was enough to stop the investigation, but I couldn't get his payment records to prove he paid for lingerie due to the anonymous payment system, and any more than that would require a legal case, which I can't afford, and even if I did manage to stay here I would still have to be in his classes as they are mandatory, but at the same time my uni have basically said that they can't put me in his classes after this because I have essentially been accused of sexually harassing him. He must have reported me the second I sent in my meeting request, because I got the email from the person dealing with this literally less than a week later. I have no clue what the fuck he's thinking. I'm assuming he thought I would report him and decided to get ahead of it, but even that makes no sense as all I did was request a meeting. Whatever his logic, I am dropping out. I am 1 year off completing my degree, so I've submitted some inquiries about transferring to nearby universities, but because this has happened right at the start of a new school year it's going to be 10x harder than it would be if this happened over summer or last year. The only upsides are that I've not actually been expelled, suspended, so I won't need to explain this to anyone. The uni seem fine to just let me go quietly, and another lecturer is writing me a reference. The agency have also said they will blacklist him, and they share this info with other services, so hopefully he won't be able to do this to anyone else. Just Jesus Christ. Adding that I have had a free consultation with a lawyer and I will not be pursuing legal action. The best case scenario, where I win, my name is cleared, and I can stay in this uni, my profession will still be outed, I will be shunned by classmates and staff members alike, and my lecturer will continue to be a dick, and I'll be staying at a uni that have confirmed they will throw me under a bus to save a weaselly prick. Even the best case scenario will also earn me a black mark next to my name in academic circles.
I, 32, have a brother, Dave, 35, who's married to Sarah, 29. They don't have children yet. I have a son who just turned 4 and a 3-month-old daughter with my husband, 39. My husband and I live in Belgium most of the time, but we travel back to visit my family about once a month in England. At home, we speak both English and French to our children. My husband is Belgian, and right now, my son is in a very sweet phase, but he'll sometimes mix up the two languages and say a couple of words in English in a French sentence, or vice versa. This has never posed a problem to us, and even the staff at his nursery have reassured us that it's very common and they tend to grow out of it once they start school. My sister-in-law has decided that this is a problem, so when we're visiting my parents and she notices my son doing this, she'll correct him, but she does so really rudely, whereas my husband and I will just gently correct him. Anyway, we're visiting at the moment, and she's now decided that instead of correcting him, she's just going to start ignoring him when he does this. I sort of noticed her doing it when we arrived, and I thought it was odd, but assumed that maybe she was just stressed. Her job is quite intense, but it only really became an issue yesterday. My husband was talking to my dad outside and I was feeding my daughter in the room. I'd left Lewis with Sarah and Dave. When I came back downstairs, Lewis was crying and I managed to understand that he tried to ask Sarah for a drink. He has a special cup that he uses that he was holding, so it was obvious what he meant, but that she just ignored him. I asked her why and she explained that she wasn't going to reply to him unless he said the sentence correctly and that I shouldn't be ignoring my son's obvious speech issues. For context, it's not that she didn't know what he wanted. She told me that she understood exactly what he was asking for, but that she was deliberately refusing because he hadn't asked correctly. This really pissed me off, but luckily my husband came inside at that moment and pulled me away so that we could calm down and settle Lewis. That night at the dinner table, Sarah asked me to pass her something, but she said it in bad English. She is English, I just mean that she asked for it in slang. Think, pass us the peas, will you? I had a bit of an epiphany and I just decided to totally ignore her. She asked again and I did the same thing. My brother asked why I was ignoring his wife, and I said that I'm not able to reply if she can't speak English correctly and that it's wrong for him to ignore her obvious issues with grammar. Everyone's pretty pissed off with me and I admit it was incredibly childish, but she was needlessly being a dickhead to my baby. So, am I wrong for doing the same thing to my sister-in-law that she does to my son? And should I apologize?
Neighbors used my property as their own. Paid for new fence. I recently bought a house and have been having some work done before I move in. It was empty on the market for about 6 or 8 months before I bought it. One morning I got a call from my contractor, asking me about moving the cars in the driveway, and of course I had no idea what he was talking about. I hadn't moved in yet. I left my job site and drove nearly a half hour to get there. As soon as I arrived, the people on the east side of me were walking toward the cars. I asked if they were their cars and they said yes. They told me that they had been parking there for a few months with permission from the owners. I informed them that I was the new owner and they can't park there any longer. We went back and forth, and with the intention of being a good neighbor and trying to show some goodwill, I agreed to allow them to park there for a few more weeks until I move in, with the agreement that they would move them by 6 a.m. every morning. The rest of the week went by without incident. The contractor called me about scheduling a walkthrough on Saturday, and we set a time for early afternoon. When I arrived, there were 4 cars in the driveway, and nowhere to park. The only on-street parking is 2 blocks away. I called them and asked them to move their vehicles, reminding them of our agreement. After 20 minutes, they finally came out and moved them. Speaking with them, they claimed to have misunderstood and thought our agreement only referred to weekdays and not weekends. I corrected them and moved on. Sunday morning I grabbed a trailer and loaded some furniture to take over and store in the garage. Once again, there were cars in the driveway. I called them and got VM. I texted and said they had until a tow truck could arrive to get them moved. No answer. I called a tow company. 45 minutes later, 2 tow trucks showed up, backed in and hooked up to the cars. All of a sudden, the neighbors were home. They ran out to stop their cars from being towed, and it ended up costing them a little over $300 to get them unhooked. I called my contractor and asked if he knew someone who could put in a driveway gate, and he did. I let the neighbors know that they could no longer use my driveway. On Wednesday, I get a call from the gate installer, telling me that there are cars in the driveway. I called them and said tow trucks are on the way. They moved. The gate was installed and I went by to pick up the opener that evening. The neighbor husband came out to confront me, and I opted to just call the police and deal with it legally. That Saturday, I went by to accept an outdoor furniture delivery and check on things when I noticed a towel beside the pool and a small kid's flotation device. My initial thought was that I just hadn't noticed it before, so I wrote it off and threw them both in the trash. On Saturday, the movers arrived with everything and we began moving things in. About 7 p.m., my daughter and I left to go grab some dinner, arriving back at the house around 9:30 p.m. The neighbors were in my pool. They were hanging out and using my furniture. When I opened the door and began raising hell, they told the kids to go to the house and the children ran to a corner of our fence and just walked through. They had cut out the privacy fence so it could be removed and had been using the pool at their leisure for who knows how long. Again, I called the police and filed a complaint. The dad was arrested for trespassing and an outstanding warrant, and the oldest boy 20 male for an outstanding warrant. I replaced the fence with a new one, because they had destroyed the posts, runners and pickets by removing and reinstalling the panel. Small claims awarded me the total cost of 83 of 8-inch privacy fence, which came out to $3,800. The following Monday morning around 5 a.m., their cars were parked in the street, where there's no street parking, so I made a phone call. They were gone when I left at 7 a.m. I haven't been paid yet, but I did notice a for rent sign in their yard this morning, so that's just as good. Good riddance.
Okay, so I was just talking to my guy friend, and holy shit, the stars just aligned for me, and I have to share this information. So a few weeks ago, maybe even a month ago, I was seeing somebody, and it was pretty light, but we were going on dates and we were having a really great time, and he was the one. He was communicating, he was texting every day, he was calling me, like he was doing all the right stuff. And when he went away, we had plans for the week when he was getting back, and everything was great. And we had our date, and we went out to dinner, and we went to a movie premiere, and we had the best time. And it was, I really want to be with you, and holy shit, I'm feeling really great about this, and I'm so ready, and da-da-da. And, it was all of those things. And so then we finally went back to my house. We hooked up. We had a great night, woke up in the morning. And I remember I was like, oh, cool. So I'm free this weekend. My friend canceled. Do you want to hang out Saturday? And all of a sudden it was, oh, I'll check my calendar. I'm not sure. Instantly, as a girl, I was like, there's that gut feeling, something's off. And he kind of rushed out, scurried out, and was like, oh, I got to get going. I got to get to work. And maybe I didn't hear from him all day. And then later in the day, I was like, hey, dude, we all good? And sure enough, I get I've been thinking about it and I'm just not ready for a relationship, blah, blah. And so we stopped seeing each other and I was racking my brain trying to understand, well, what changed? And my friend made such a great fucking point. Nothing actually changed. So here's the thing. When you're dating somebody, it's kind of, they wrote a check they weren't ready to cash. So he might have been super into me and everything was really great. But we know what changed? The circumstances. Things became real. It was, now you got to put your money where your mouth is. Okay, fine. And then we're just going to be seeing each other. Okay, cool. So what are we doing this weekend? And And then all of a sudden it's, oh shit, I actually don't think I'm ready for that. So it has nothing to do with, oh, well, you did something to scare him away, or what did I do that did it was nothing. It was truly the circumstance that this person said he wanted a relationship. It's like a lot of people, you say you want real until real is right in front of you. And then when you get real, you don't know what the fuck to do with it because you now have to be real yourself. And for a lot of people, they don't have that. They don't have that capacity or that space to do so. So listen, maybe it was you. Maybe you did something. I don't know. That's when you can ask somebody. But if it came out of nowhere and it was like a complete 180 where you don't understand what happened, it's usually the circumstances that change and the person got spooked.
Am I the asshole for making it clear how I'm not entirely happy at my best friend's wedding during my maid of honor speech? On Saturday, my childhood best friend got married. After they got serious, our friendship changed. I know I should respect her and move on with my life, but I have to also make peace with the fact that this change does not make me feel well. The entire time of the ceremony, I was sobbing, not because I felt touched, but because I mourned our friendship. That day was the day my hopes of things returning back to what they used to be were gone. I had a maid of honor speech ready, but all of it was just a lie. So I decided to scrap my actual maid of honor speech and speak honestly. I said that I don't want to lie. I want to be honest, that I'm not happy. I'm not happy that this person she married is the reason our friendship changed. I just pretended the whole day out of her sake, but it would be a shame for me to get up here and lie about how happy and excited I am. There was an awkward silence for 2 to 3 minutes after my speech. My best friend contacted me 2 days after and only asked me if my purpose was to ruin the mood of her wedding. I said no. The purpose was to be honest. She said I'm trying to play the victim and how she can't believe I haven't even shown a bit of remorse about what I said. I said I can't apologize for being honest. Am I the asshole?
Yes.